Good. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good.
All right. So you're just taking questions?
Sure.
All right. So I was just wondering, what does the Quran say about where man came from specifically?
Ooh, good question, man. So, Allah, the Creator, whether you know Him through many different names, the most merciful, most forgiving, whatever name you know Him through, He created mankind. First one being Adam, right? From Adam, He created Eve, and from them came mankind.
But where did He make Adam from?
From nothing. Allah made it as He did.
But doesn't
right?
the Surah say 4 different times that He made man from nothing, from clay, from mud, and from blood?
No, because see, the first is that there was nothing. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose from nothing. I mean, there was nothing. Then He chose to get mud from all over the earth, right? From different types. So in the beginning, nothing. Then from that mud that was put together, then that was formed into clay, right? And then from a clinging clot, this has to do with regular humans, right? Meaning that regularly people are born from a water or a sperm that comes forth, right? Do you understand the difference or no? Or you don't? Do you understand though?
So first created the mud.
So first there was nothing, right? Meaning
from nothing created the mud, then created from the mud the clay.
Yes.
And then from the
that makes sense. Blood clot is actually about regular birth. This is about insan, not about Adam alayhi salam, right?
Doesn't the Surah say that the Creator made man from blood?
Man meaning man. Every person who's born is from a clot of blood, like the sperm that goes and becomes, when it's, I don't want to get too graphic here, you young kids, right? But anyway, so one is the beginning of how mankind started with Adam, and that is where you have first nothing, and then clay that's put together, formed into a human form, right? Into mud, from mud, but not like mud like from the dirt, right? Like just like, for example, we have jinn that are made out of fire, but it doesn't mean like fire like the one you light on your oven, right? This is the building block. From there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made Adam as he was, meaning in a full form. He wasn't a little baby and things like this. But the Quran also talks about how people are regularly created, right? The stages of development in the womb from a clinging leech, right? People who don't know the Quran, they confuse those to mean that they think this is the same discussion, right? Meaning one is the original man, because you look at the context of the verses, right? One is how regularly people are developed. And the clot of blood, this is for everybody. You understand now? All right, good.
Did you refer to the clot as a leech?
It leaches to the side of the womb, right? So it's a leaching thing, not a leech like a leech that you get drinks your blood, but something that clings to the side of the womb.
Is it considered a human?
So it's a good question. I think you're going down to the discussion about abortion and abortion rights and things.
I didn't even realize the thing about the clot. And when you said leech, I hear often leech.
We believe that there are stages in the womb of the mother, right? And there is a stage that after a certain period of time, the soul is breathed into the fetus, right? From then on, that's a human being. But even before that, we don't believe you can abort without reason, unless there's danger to health or some kind of an actual medical reason. That is the beginning of life, right?
So at what stage of development in the womb does?
So we have stages. There are 4 stages. After the first stage, which is going to be around the first trimester, you're going to have the soul that's breathed into the fetus, and from then on, killing that would be as if it's murder, right?
So while it's still in the first stage, it's okay?
It's not okay, as I said earlier.
But it's not a human.
But it's not a murder, right? Meaning that, for example, if somebody has a medical hardship, it's not going to be a life-threatening emergency, but somebody, for example, knows that if they get pregnant, the blood loss and things are going to be huge, and they abort in the first trimester, it's still wrong Islamically, but we would not charge them with murder. But after the soul is breathed and that fetus has developed features and all of that, then if you commit like abortion, it would be like murder, right? The same rulings would apply. Let me give you an example, right? Let's say a woman has just got pregnant, like last week, and somebody hits her with a car, right? Now, are you going to charge them with manslaughter of 1 person or 2? Right? So here, Islamically, until the soul is breathed, it's still 1 person, right?
Until the what?
Until the soul is breathed into the fetus, right? So after that, then Islamically, they will be charged with 2, right? Meaning, you can't take it back too far, because otherwise, if somebody, spills their sperm, it doesn't mean that they just killed somebody, right? Right? But there is a time after which the fetus will be considered a human being, right?
I I'm just curious, because like what like specific verse is that?
It's a hadith. You know what a hadith is?
No.
All right. Hadith.
Okay.
The what?
Where in the book is it?
What book are you talking about?
The hadith.
Hadith is not one book, right? Hadith are the sayings.
Sayings of Muhammad.
Sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We have many books like Bukhari, Abu Dawud, Ibn Majah, Tirmidhi. Some hadith are authentic, some are weak. We check them for verification. So
One is the Injil, right?
Injil is a name given to the message that was sent to Isa ibn Maryam.
Okay,
You know
so-
Jesus?
Yes.
Yeah, the original message of Jesus called the Injil.
Okay, so those include the Gospels, right?
No, because the Injil is the actual message given to the Prophet Jesus, right? The Gospels were written later, as you know, right? I mean, they're not the writings of Jesus or even the apostles around him, right? They're attributed to them, right?
The Gospels, the ones that were written in the first century,
They were not written in the first. I mean, you know, the earliest Greek. You know about
were
the.
written in the first century.
How many manuscripts of the New Testament do we have from the first Christian century? None.
Written in the first century.
They were not. So, what is the earliest manuscripts?
They were about 30 years after, so
No,
that'd be
yeah.
60.
Have you read like Bart Ehrman or any kind of research on this?
Actually, he's a New Testament scholar who does believe they
Who?
Yeah, he's a New Testament scholar.
Bart Ehrman?
Bart Ehrman, yes.
Okay, yeah.
After though, the latest ones are attributed to John, like Revelation and.
So like for example, Hebrews, right? The book of Hebrews. Who wrote it?
We're not exactly sure, but it's probably
Right, so-
Paul. It might also.
So it's anonymous actually, right? Because we don't know who wrote it.
Could also be Apollos.
Right. So
But
we don't actually
the-
know then, right?
The other Gospels, the actual Gospels, we do know who the authors were, and that, for example, Paul writes that 500 brothers are still living.
Paul being Saul originally, right?
What?
Paul, he was originally named Saul, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So meaning, but
But
Paul
also-
never physically met Jesus, right? Only in a vision, right?
Right, but he also was living at the same time with the apostles, and he was quoting creeds that were.
But they're not direct writings of the apostles then.
No, the direct
And the
writings.
earliest manuscripts that are
Mark wrote Mark.
okay. Mark wrote Mark. What language did he write it in?
I think it was Greek.
So Mark
you know.
spoke Greek, or did he speak Aramaic, or Hebrew?
I don't remember exactly which one it was written in.
Okay.
But they were written during that time.
So again, you're talking about attribution or talking about manuscripts? So
Manuscripts.
do you have a book? It's called Forgery in the Name of God by Bart Ehrman.
No, but I do have
Okay.
other books that track basically the chain of custody. Show.
Okay, so the earliest Greek manuscript, that's the complete Gospels, is how old?
About 30. They were
yeah.
written 30 years.
Yeah.
Just
How many manuscripts of the New Testament do we have from the first Christian century? None. From the decades after the books were written, how many do we have? The years afterwards, the decade, none. Zero. How many do we have from the early second century? Say, manuscripts that clearly date up to around the year 150. We have one scrap. This is it. This may look big because it's a big screen. This is the actual size. It's the size of a credit card.
so the old.
Sorry.
Oh,
Look this up when you go home, okay?
No, I know what. I know now
Alright.
where we're disagreeing.
Okay.
The oldest existing manuscript.
Yeah,
is
the
a
one that we
little
can
bit
prove,
older. However,
right?
we can-
400 years
we
for
can
the
date
first
that.
complete manuscripts,
But we
right?
can look back to old church fathers who were quoting it before that.
Sure, but
and
those
find-
quotes are written,
and find out that it was written earlier on.
okay.
So we don't have
So-
older manuscripts, but we can find out when it was written.
Okay, so you are apparently well read in the Bible, right? You guys are from a church group, I'm assuming?
Familiar with the
Okay.
Quran.
Oh, you are. Great. Let me ask you a couple of questions then. I have a Bible. So,
Are you aware that Bart Ehrman agrees that the Gospels were written early by the apostles?
How many complete manuscripts do we have from the 2nd and 3rd centuries? None. 0. Well, if we have 5,500 manuscripts, where are they from? When are they from? Well, 94% of our surviving manuscripts come from the 9th century and later. 94% come from the 9th century, which is great if you want to know what the Bible looked like when Christians were reading it in the year 890. But if you want to know how they were reading it in the year 70, you've got a problem, because you don't have manuscripts from that period.
I've actually listened to his lectures. I have a few of his books. I have seen his research on the earliest manuscripts,
Are
right?
you aware that he agrees
Yeah,
that
no,
they
but he did not, right? From his book that I have published, that I have at home, that I can bring for you, he says that none of these can be attributed to actual disciples. These are Greek writings. Have you read his books?
We do not have the originals of the New Testament, period. We do not have the originals of the New Testament, period.
Okay. Well, next week we'll bring his books and take a look at them together. Then how's that? All right. Let me ask you about the Bible itself. Then, who's the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary?
I don't remember. I could look in the.
Here it is. You want to read it?
So Jacob.
Jacob's the father of,
Joseph.
who's the husband of Mary, right?
Okay.
Make sense?
Sure.
Here in Luke, who's the father of Joseph?
Oh, this is two different genealogies. One
Okay.
is tracking the biological
Okay.
line.
Where's that from?
Through Mary, and the other is tracking the legal
Where's
heritage of
Mary?
Joseph.
It says the son of Heli. Is Mary going to be the son or daughter?
So, according to Jewish tradition, when Joseph married Mary,
Okay.
he became a son.
So,
it
okay.
Was, so then he was the son of
So
Heli.
that means the word son here means son-in-law.
According to Jewish
Okay.
tradition.
So that would mean that the same word here used for Matan is the son-in-law of Levi, the son of, because you're not going to use the same word differently, right?
It's translated as son, but
It's the same
when you
Greek
look
word,
at
though.
Context, though.
No, but the same Greek word is used throughout. So then I guess Adam is the son-in-law of God, because the same word is used all the way through.
No, you have to look
Yeah.
at context.
I have the Greek of it, right? Do you have a Greek Bible?
We do at home.
So when you have the same Greek word used throughout,
But with
why did you change that? Where does it say this has to do with him being the adopted son or the son-in-law? See, again,
You look at
you-
the legal line for David.
so the question here is, how did you get that? Meaning, because here it says, now Jesus began his ministry at the age of 30 years, being the supposed son of Joseph, the son of Heli, the son of Matthat, the son of Levi, the son of Michli. They're all using the same word. So are you saying this word here, according to the context, is not referring to sons, but to son-in-laws?
According to the context in the one spot, it is.
Where is that
talking about
context? Where did you get that context?
sons. That Eli is
Eli is the father of Mary?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Eli is the father of Mary, biblically.
That's what the context is saying.
So Mary's father's name is what?
Eli.
You're sure about that? So if I can bring you historic documentation that it wasn't, then would you believe it's a clear contradiction? Historic, even the Catholic Encyclopedia, for example, you may not be Catholic, but I'm saying here the father of Mary is not Heli, right? Historically.
Okay.
But you are reading that in, trying to put together a clear contradiction. But okay.
That's Jewish law and historical context
Okay.
that we're.
Well, if you guys are in San Diego?
No,
Oh.
and we won't be here next week just
Okay.
because we don't live here. So
Isaiah was 42 years old when he became king, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem, right?
okay.
How old was he? How old was he?
Sorry. Okay.
Isaiah was
42.
when he became king, and he ruled 1 year. His mother's name is Athaliah, the granddaughter of Omri, right?
Okay.
Isaiah was 22 years old when he became king, and he ruled 1 year in Jerusalem, and his mother was Athaliah, the granddaughter of Omri. So was he 22 or 42?
I'm not familiar with that one. So
You guys don't have Bible studies and things? You don't study the Bible, or?
No, we do.
Okay, so you didn't come across this verse before?
No.
Okay.
But
You want to
just
take a?
to get back to what I was talking about earlier, do you
Okay.
believe that Jesus was a person?
Was
It
a?
exists.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so the angel.
Wait, can we finish can we finish the Bible stuff first, or? I mean, I just want to understand. Do you believe that these are contradictions here, or no?
I'm not familiar with them, but
But do you see a contradiction between 22 years old and 42 years old?
No, because
You don't see a contradiction between 22 and so somebody can be 22 and 42 and rule 1 year.
it could have been a different person. I'm not familiar.
So
with
this is where I'm glad that the mother and grandfather, how many Ahazayas ruled 1 year in Jerusalem that had a mother named Athaliah that was the daughter of Omri, the king of. There's only one.
So just
You can talk to me. You don't have to whisper to us. Like,
But do you know
go
that
ahead.
there's more than one? With the name.
There's more than one.
Do you know that there was only one?
Yes, only one. Yes, sure. So look.
No. Can I see a historical document?
Okay, I'll tell you what. Look, you know and I know that you're just trying to run from this, right? Because look,
I know that the
he
Bible
is Ahaziah. So even when I'm showing you a clear contradiction numerically, you're just saying there's none. That's just blind faith, right? Right here,
contradictions in the Quran?
there are no contradictions in the Quran, and we'll get to those. Oh, we got you. Don't think you're the first one that came to us with this, but we'll get to that, okay? Isaiah, let me just finish, right?
But this is I get to ask you questions.
Sure, but let me finish with this, and then when I speak, you listen. When you speak, I listen. How's that?
I thought
you
the
actually
sign says we can ask you
Okay,
questions.
sure. But when I speak, you listen. When you speak, I listen. That's how respectful conversations
We
go
have
on.
been, but
Excellent.
We had
So
a
can
few
I-
questions we wanted to.
Excellent. We'll get to your questions. Let me finish, if you don't mind. So here you have Isaiah, who is 22 years old. You have his mother's name, Athaliah, who's the granddaughter of Omri. You really believe there are two Isaiahs who had the same mother.
We're not saying
Okay,
that,
so
we're saying
that means
we're
the
not
same.
Familiar with the one.
It's not the same, but it's not two.
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
I believe that
No, you're
the
going to skip over
songs-
this, right? Go ahead.
So
I like to point out she was actually trying to ask you questions.
I understand.
You cut her off
No,
and
no,
started
I'm
talking
sorry.
about this.
You asked a question. I
She's
explained your
trying to
question.
get back to what
Sure.
we came over here to
It's a
ask.
conversation, right?
But she's
yes, but
trying
the
So,
sign
I'm
says
gonna
that you're
ask-
open for questions,
Sure I am.
and you're not.
I listened to your. Go ahead. Ask your question.
So, according to the Quran, there is a previous book of Revelation, right?
Yes.
And so, do you believe that the Injil and the Psalms are part of that?
Okay.
According
According-
to Muslim.
Would you like me to answer?
Yeah, I just clarified the question.
Thank you. So we believe that the Injil was revealed to Jesus, peace and blessings be upon him. We believe Zabur was revealed to David, peace and blessings be upon him. We believe the Torah was revealed to Moses, peace and blessings be upon him. But we also believe that later, as the Quran says, people wrote with their own hands and attributed it to God. So that what we have today is not the Injil. Okay, sure. Go ahead.
So
Did you get my answer?
Yes. So,
Okay, good.
Are you aware that the Quran claims consistency with those books of the Bible?
Okay, so let me explain that to you, right? The Quran in those verses says that those books that were revealed, judge about them with the Quran. Meaning that which was changed, how would you know? You judge with the Quran.
Isn't
Meaning,
it true that those
Go ahead.
are the Word of God, though? Right?
so that which was revealed to Jesus was the word of God. But that
So
which
does it-
men, can I finish? this is, let me finish my answer, right?
But
So,
it was a very simple answer, so I thought.
I know, but I wasn't done, right? So let me finish.
Sorry.
No problem. So, when the Quran talks about that which was revealed to Jesus, it is not this, right? Because much of this is from unknown authors that wrote later, as we have discussed.
Does the
You're
Quran,
popping ahead. So Hebrews, who wrote Hebrews?
Isn't it true that
the
the
book of
Quran?
Hebrews, we have good evidence for either Paul.
I have a question.
Hold on. This is your study Bible,
I have a
right?
question. So,
Have you heard of the Macau Study
isn't
Bible?
it true that the Quran says
Can I
that
answer
God's
him?
name cannot
He said
be
something.
changed?
Can I? Let me answer him and I'll get to you,
Actually,
okay?
I'm sorry, I did interrupt her.
So-
Isn't it true that the Quran says that God's word cannot be changed?
The words of Allah cannot be changed, but somebody can write
So-
Can I finish? Somebody could write something.
trying to
No, look,
interrupt, so
you are
it's not
interrupting.
saying
Please
that
let me finish my sentences and then you can speak. Let me finish speaking. The Quran says the words of Allah cannot be changed. But the Quran also says people can write and falsely attribute to God. So that which was revealed to Jesus was correct. But that which people wrote, anonymous authors, and attributed it to God, we don't believe the words of God. Are you clear now?
Okay. So are you then familiar with that we can find out what the original writings were that were directly...
Sure.
So you do agree then that we do know what the original words of God were with the song?
We do not. Let me explain this. What you have are accounts written later by authors, many of them being unknown, many of their authorship being disputed. I have a study Bible. You're nodding your head, but I have it in front of you, right?
So
here,
can I? Books
sure.
Let me. Than Hebrews that is
sure. Even when we talk about Mark, we say that here he says he neither heard the Lord nor accompanied him.
Are you familiar?
This is in your study Bible.
Are you familiar?
Are you familiar with this?
Yes, I'm asking you.
So Mark here, according to his Christian study Bible, never met Jesus.
Author's footnote, right?
MacArthur's study Bible, yeah.
Yes, and just
do you not
also
study?
Clarify,
okay.
Mark was with the group of apostles, so he did know the teaching. Okay. But also to get to John,
but again,
who was a disciple, he did know Jesus. Do you agree that what he wrote was?
Sure, I do not, right? Let me explain why. Because if you look at the earliest manuscripts, like the Sinaiticus, this is from the 4th century.
What Jesus wrote?
We do not.
Original.
Jesus never wrote any of these.
So how
these are accounts.
What do you know? Hold on. Do you know what he originally say?
We do not. We do not, because these accounts that are in the New Testament today, the earliest manuscript, the Codex Sinaiticus, is from the 4th century. Right? Go look it up when you get home. These are facts. We have no writings. It was in Greek. It was not in Aramaic. It was in Koine Greek. The earliest manuscripts are in Koine Greek. None of them being in the original language of Jesus. Go ahead.
Complete manuscripts.
Complete even the earliest manuscript that you have the size of a credit card that only has a verse and a half, even that is 40 to 70 years after the time of Jesus. Nothing that can be carved. Go look it up at home. Research this. You have not. When is Codex Sinaiticus from then?
We don't happen to have something this many thousands of years later.
Right. So that means we cannot say this is definitely what was revealed to Jesus, right? Right. But who made those copies? Anonymous authors. We don't know. We cannot rely on something that was written in a language. So let me ask you a question. What language did Jesus speak to his followers in?
He spoke Aramaic and Greek.
Jesus did not speak to his people in Greek. Where did you get that from? The people of Israel at the time, Quds, this area,
Common Greek.
Koine Greek, which is called Common Greek, was not the language spoken there. The language that was spoken, according to Bart Ehrman and anybody else that you can look from biblical scholars, was Aramaic. Aramaic was the language. I do believe he's an atheist. I'm not depending on him and his belief set, but the research. Okay, let me.
Are accurate.
He does not.
We do not have the originals of the New Testament, period.
No.
Have you watched his videos? He has said you cannot. He has written books saying that these are not. I have those books. If you like.
Could I see a copy?
Sure. You want to come by my house, or do you want to come back, or when you want to look up Forged in the Name of God? You can get it yourself. Have you read it?
I have not read that particular book.
Okay. Well, what book of Bart Ehrman have you read?
I am not very familiar with the source myself, but the rest of my family is.
Okay.
So I was just asking if you actually had a copy of
I
that
do have it.
that I
Yeah.
could look at.
Sure.
Right now?
Well, I don't have it. I don't bring my whole library with me. But if you
I
like,
didn't ask for your whole library.
okay. Can I calm down, guy? Right? You want to go to my house and take a look at the book?
Actually, we have some other stuff to do today.
So how would you expect me to bring the book to you from
Well, just
thin air?
that's the
It's
only
just
source
strange
that
that
you
you're
comment
It's not
on.
the only source. I showed you from
no,
MacArthur's
that's
study
the only-
Bible as well.
That's the only source that you actually were bringing up supporting
I'll tell you
your
what,
side.
let's-
so I was just wondering
let's
if you
look it
actually
up.
had that with you right now.
Right now, right?
Sure.
But you quoted John MacArthur.
Sure.
You didn't quote the actual Bible.
Sure. But the actual Bible doesn't say when this manuscript written down or who were the authors, right?
But you're quoting one man.
A Christian apologist who's an author, right?
Right?
Is MacArthur not a Christian?
I'm not a huge John MacArthur fan.
Okay, tell me why. That's interesting.
So is it your position that, or well, actually, just are you aware that at the beginning of many Gospels, and many of the letters that Paul wrote, it actually says who the author is at the beginning of that?
Which book are we talking about? Show me.
If you just look at many of Paul's books.
Here's the Bible.
Awesome. Give me 1 second. And did you find the quote from? I'm sorry, I'm horrible with names. The man you were just mentioning.
Bart Ehrman?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm not looking up a quote. There's a whole book he wrote on the subject. If you like I said,
From that book?
sure. If you'd like me to go with me to get the book, I don't walk around with my whole library. You know, I have like a huge library at home, right?
I just thought you were looking
Right.
for the quote. I'm sorry.
No, I was actually looking for the authorship of the Bible as has been discussed on the internet, but you can look it up as well. Now, if we look.
Are you aware that the majority of even secular or atheist sources agree that the Gospels were dated to the 1st century, were written by disciples and other eyewitnesses?
Where did you get that from?
What we have today, a lot of sources.
Like?
There are even Bart Ehrman quotes that
So the earliest writings that you have are from 70 AD, which is 4 decades after Jesus. History Channel research, right?
Are you aware that the earliest writings of Plato or Homer that aren't dated to around 1,000 years afterwards?
Sure. I don't depend on Plato and Homer for my salvation. Are you aware the Quran was written down in the lifetime of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and memorized during his lifetime?
Actually, it was orally transmitted.
It was not.
So
It was not. Actually, it was not. Zayd ibn Harith, when he compiled the Quran in the first year after the death of Prophet ﷺ, one of the sources was 2 witnesses from written accounts. Did you know that?
Actually,
Apparently not.
No, I.
Have you read?
It's orally-
What have you read in the Quranic sciences?
What?
What have you read in the
I've
Quranic
attended
sciences?
to multiple lectures.
By Christians.
He was a Muslim.
Who?
Alan Schleman.
Who's that? What are his Islamic credentials?
I'm not familiar with Islam.
Yeah.
I
So
don't know
you're
what
talking to a
So-
Christian who told you about it.
He has
Right,
read
okay.
all of the
So
Islamic
Islamic
literature.
scholarship is not dependent on apostates, right? Islamic scholarship has scholars. We have evidences. Do you know the book Al-Itqan?
What?
Al-Itqan fi ulum al-Quran, the standard book studied for Quranic sciences.
No, because
Do you know
I assume
Mus'haf
that you
Uthman?
just kind of based it off of the Quran. And
We do not. We do not. You
Isn't the
assumed
Quran-
wrong.
Isn't the Quran the ultimate authority though?
Of course it is, but when we write about manuscripts and compilation, we don't just depend on the Quran, we look at historic documentation.
So is the Quran enough for you?
Of course it's enough for us, but
So why
when
do
we
you need
study,
another book then?
when we study manuscripts, we don't look at the Quran to know how you carbon date a manuscript, right?
Oh, so are you
Yeah.
looking at carbon dating?
Sure, that's one of the ways we look at it. We have carbon dated manuscripts to the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ. Have you heard of the Birmingham Quran?
The Birmingham Quran?
Yeah. Apparently you haven't done much research in it then. When you go back, look up the Birmingham
More
Quran.
about what the Quran says and not other.
Right, but when we were discussing the preservation of text, right? So when you talk about the earliest biblical manuscripts, even the size of a credit card being 70 AD, meaning 40 years after Jesus, but the first complete ones being in the 4th century, then that's telling you that this is not the words that were written down and preserved in the lifetime of Jesus, peace and blessings be upon him. We love Jesus, right? But the Quran, see again, you're cutting me off. I'm like in the middle of a sentence, you cut me off.
You are in a sentence.
I was not, I was in the middle. I was saying in the, wow, this is, man, I thought you guys would be taught better manners than this in church, but okay, go ahead. I'll let you interrupt
Okay,
me.
you know what? Let's move on.
Go ahead.
Just, if you want to have conversations with people, it would be good to take the sign away that says "Ask me questions"
Sure.
and not cut off our questions as well. So you can't hold us to one standard that you're not willing to follow, and I don't believe that we were rude at all.
When you're speaking, I listened, and when I'm speaking, you're walking away.
إذا أعجبك الفيديو لا تنسى الإعجاب والتعليق، ولكي يصلك كل جديد اشترك الآن.